Welcome back to the deep dive. We cut through the noise to get you the vital insights from key sources fast. Today, we're zeroing in on that amazing feeling you've just locked down your very own hunting lease. It's a huge step, right? Getting access to private land for safer, maybe higher quality hunting. For a lot of hunters, that's the dream. Now, this deep dive isn't about how to get the lease. We're assuming you've done that part. We're focused on what comes next. Those critical first steps you absolutely need to take, especially if you're signing the papers in, say, early fall. Our main source today is an article by Sean Verbrook. He's a real innovator in this space, COO for the AHLA, the American Hunting Lease Association. The article is called Your First Three Must-Dos on Your New Hunting Lease. So, our mission: give you that shortcut, that playbook to turn your excitement into a smart strategy right out of the gate.
Yeah, and that time you mentioned, signing in early fall, that's really key. Because let's face it, a lot of hunters tend to put things off. They wait until everyone else is scrambling in the fall, trying to figure out where to hunt. Getting a jump on this planning, or at least knowing these early fall moves, it's a game changer. Puts you way ahead. We're talking about that point after the lease is all official, signed, insured, paid for. That's done. Now it's about shifting from the paperwork to the practical stuff, the groundwork that sets you up for success this season and beyond.
Okay, let's dive in then. You've got the keys to this new hunting spot. You're itching to get out there. What is the absolute number one first thing you have to do?
Right. The very first must-do, the foundation for everything else, is all about understanding your new turf from a deer's perspective. You need to walk the property to know where deer are traveling to and from. And this isn't just like a casual walkabout. It's more like an investigation.
Okay, but I bet some folks are thinking, hang on, I walked it before I signed. I checked the boundaries, looked around. So what makes this walk different? Why is it so much deeper?
That's a great point. That initial walk, super important for checking access, boundaries, the general lay of the land. You're assessing potential. But this walk, after you've signed, is different. It's about active deer behavior. Right now, you're trying to figure out how they're currently using the property. It's a shift in focus. And crucially, you don't necessarily want to barge right into the thickest cover, the obvious bedding areas. Not yet.
Ah, okay. So tread lightly, even during this initial scouting.
Exactly. Those bedding spots are their safe zones. Push in too hard, too early, and you could shift their patterns completely. You basically erase your data before you collect it.
Gotcha. So if you're avoiding the core sanctuary areas, where do you start this investigation?
Start on the edges. Field edges are great. Walk them carefully. Look for clear, well-used trails coming out of the woods and the timber. Once you find a promising one, follow it maybe, 100 yards or so into the woods. Not too deep at first. And you're looking for specific, fresh clues.
Like what exactly? What tells you it's fresh?
Fresh tracks, obviously. Look for sharp definition in soft ground. Are they crisp or old and washed out? Fresh droppings are another big one. Are they, dark, maybe a bit shiny, still clumped, or old, dry, and scattered? These little details tell you when deer were there, not just if they were there.
And wasn't there something in the article about cobwebs? I remember finding that fascinating.
Ah, yeah. The cobweb test. It's brilliant and so simple. If you walk up to a trail and there's an unbroken cobweb stretched across it, boom! That tells you instantly no deer has used that specific path recently. They just walk right through them. So it helps you quickly rule out trails that aren't seeing current routine traffic. Saves a ton of time. You're also noting food sources, nearby acorns on the trail, crop damage right near the edge. The goal is confirming routine current use. This intel, this map of their commute, feeds right into the next step.
It's amazing how these small details, like a cobweb, become really critical pieces of data. You're basically mapping their highways. Okay, so you figured out the where, but that's only part of it. Now you need to know who is using these routes, right? And maybe how. This is where it gets really interesting, I think.
You got it. Once you've got a decent handle on those main travel corridors, the next must-do is to research the herd. This moves beyond just trails. It's about gathering intel on the actual deer using your lease, moving from geography to biography, you could say.
Well, nothing beats seeing them yourself, right? Watching them move, that's the best. But that takes time and luck. It's not always practical when you're just starting out. So what's a good shortcut to get that kind of information efficiently?
Yeah, direct observation is gold standard, but time-consuming. So leverage what's available. If you happen to have a landowner who lives on or near the property, talk to them. That's often a fantastic shortcut. Ask them what they've been seeing. The author, Sean, has a great line. Don't guide the guide. Seriously. Their eyes on the ground day after day are incredibly valuable. They might know about specific bucks, feeding times, weird patterns, Ask them.
That's brilliant advice. Use that local knowledge. Okay, but what if there's no landowner nearby, or you just want to verify things yourself? What's the next best option for this recon?
The next best thing, and honestly, it's pretty much essential these days, is trail cameras. You really can't overstate how important good trail cam data is. They're your eyes out there 24/7. They work when you're not there, without spooking deer, hopefully. They give you timestamp proof of what's moving through. Now, the market's huge. It can be confusing. The source article actually recommends the covert line. Notes they're small, good quality, and usually under like $130. Good value. You can find them at covertscoutingcameras.com.
Okay, covert cameras. Good tip. So you get your cameras. Where do you actually put them for the best results? Again, without causing too much disturbance.
Good question. Based on those trails you found in step 1, the ideal spot isn't right on the trail itself. Place the camera a few yards off the trail. And try to position it so deer are walking toward it, not just broadside past it. That usually gets you clearer face shots, better identification. Think about the sun, too. Avoid facing it directly east or west if you can. Helps prevent lens flare washing at your pics. And get the height right, not too low, not too high.
It makes sense. Get the angle and placement just right. Now, what about using bait or minerals near the cameras? You see that all the time. Is that a good idea in early fall?
Yeah, that's a really critical point for this time of year. The advice is pretty clear. Avoid using minerals or bait right now in early fall. Mineral sites are great earlier spring and summer for health and antlers, but come early fall, the author's experience, and I'd agree, is that does will likely hammer any bait you put out. And mature bucks, they often get wary of sudden new food sources popping up, especially ones drawing in does.
So it might actually spook the big guy you're after?
It definitely can. Think about it. A mature buck is cautious by nature. A new food pile screams something's different, maybe danger. They learn to associate unexpected changes with human activity. Using bait now can actually work against you if your goal is to pattern a specific wary buck. You want to see their natural movements, not behavior influenced by an artificial source. And sort of related to any bigger habitat work, like clearing shooting lanes or maybe small food plots if you have time. Ideally, that stuff gets done way earlier spring or early summer. Gives deer plenty of time to get used to the changes before hunting season starts. Minimize that pressure.
That's super insightful. Focus on their natural patterns. Don't mess with them right before the season. Okay, so recap. You've walked the property, identified active trails, you've got camera intel, maybe talked to the landowner. You have a much better picture now. This is where the payoff starts, right? Moving towards actually setting up for a hunt. What's the final must-do?
Right, building on all that intel. The third must-do is hang a stand or two. But, and this is important, it's not necessarily about just pitching a tree and locking it in for the season. There's a more flexible approach recommended.
Flexible? How so? I picture most hunters finding the tree based on their scouting, setting up the stand, maybe a ladder stand, and that's it for the year. Why does the author call his strategy a little out of sync?
Yeah, he acknowledges it's maybe different. It's because he actually seems to enjoy hanging stands and isn't afraid to move them. A lot of hunters see it as this big one-and-done chore. He views the stand as adaptable. So the idea is hang a stand in what you think is a promising spot based on your step 1 and 2 research. And here's the key, keep the trimming minimal at first. Don't cut massive shooting lanes right away.
Okay, so don't go all in until you're really sure.
Exactly. You can always snip a few extra branches just before you hunt from it, but you can't put them back if you cut too much too soon. Treat that first hang as provisional, a test run almost.
So what if your ongoing research, maybe more camera pics or seeing deer yourself, tells you that first tree is just off, maybe by just a few yards? Is moving it really worth the hassle?
According to the source, absolutely. It's incredibly critical, potentially. If your intel, the tracks, the cameras, everything shows that perfect funnel or crossing is actually 10 yards over, don't hesitate. Be prepared to take that stand down and rehang it in a truly optimal spot. It seems like a pain, but those few yards, that can easily be the difference between getting a shot or not, or being winded. Precise placement, based on the best data you have, that's what dramatically ups your odds, especially on mature deer.
That commitment to adjustment makes sense. It's about precision. What's the main thing to avoid doing wrong at this stage? Like a common mistake?
The big caution is, don't overdo it. Specifically, don't hang too many stands close together in one core area. You can easily put too much pressure on that zone, bump deer out, or educate that specific buck you're targeting. Remember, every trip in to hang or adjust a stand, leave scent, makes noise. The whole philosophy, especially on a new lease, is tread lightly. Be minimally invasive.
Yeah.
Don't make big lasting changes until you have a really solid picture consistent trails, known food sources, ID'd bucks. Only then, once you really understand the patterns, maybe you think about pushing in a bit closer to bedding if the situation warrants it. Until you have that clarity, you're still gathering intel. Be patient. And it always bears repeating. Hunt safe. Safety first, every single time you climb into a stand.
Yeah, absolutely. What strikes me is how these three steps really flow together. It's not just random tasks. Step one informs step two, which then directs step three. It builds this informed adaptive strategy instead of just, guessing or hoping.
Exactly. It's a process. It's all about collecting enough specific, timely information to make smart decisions. Decisions driven by data, not just hunches. And it respects the land and the animals by minimizing unnecessary disturbance. That's really harnessing the advantage of having private ground, the ability to be strategic and patient. You let the deer dictate your moves, in a way.
So let's wrap this up. We've covered the crucial first three must-dos from Sean for Break for your new hunting lease. First, scout thoroughly. Walk those edges. Find active trails using fresh sign, maybe even cobwebs. Understand the where. Second, research the herd. Talk to the landowner if you can. Use trail cameras effectively. Understand the who and how. Avoid fall-baiting pitfalls. And third, hang stand strategically. Be flexible, keep initial trimming light, and don't be afraid to adjust based on new intel. Don't overdo it. Tread lightly.
Right. This deep dive really shows how putting in that proactive effort up front, using these specific insights, can make a huge difference. It turns that new lease from just a piece of land into a place you truly understand and can hunt effectively and enjoyably. It's about being informed, patient, and methodical.
So what's the takeaway for you, the listener? Getting that lease, that's the first big win. But the real advantage comes from deeply understanding how deer are using your specific piece of ground, their routes, their habits, their patterns. That knowledge transforms hope into a concrete strategy. It turns that initial excitement into actual results.
And it leads to a final thought, really. If knowing where to hunt is half the battle, think about how much more powerful it is to know how to use that where. What subtle shifts, based on careful observation in these kinds of steps, could unlock the biggest improvements in your own hunting success? It's always a learning game. What small clue might you be missing on your own hunting grounds right now?